Welcome to the Relationship Reflections Podcast. I'm Rosado. This podcast came after a breakup. Yes, if there is a frown, you turn that upside down. And the best way to do that is to reflect on the lessons you have learned. So if you want to learn from someone else's journey on how to do relationships better, this podcast is for you. Enjoy Relationship Reflections by Rosado. Relationship reflection of the day. It is 8:50 a.m. laying in bed. No, relationship reflection of the day is about codependency. Yo, I was reflecting on some situations that happened recently and reflecting on the behind the scenes motivation. The situation went south and I was like, yo, in the moments, I didn't do what I actually wanted to do. Like I didn't stand up or communicate or stop those moments. Why is that? And I was shocked to realize it was because I was people pleasing. But part of people pleasing, right, is feeling the need to be validated by other people. But what's the why? Let's keep chasing the why. The why was because I wanted to be well liked. And if I wasn't well liked, then I felt like my worth wasn't enough. Let me repeat that. If I'm not well liked, then my worth decreases, but that means part of my worth was associated with those around me and if they like me or not. And that's hard to admit. That is actually codependency. When you feel like everyone around you needs to be happy in order for you to be happy. And when you feel like part of your value, it means you don't love yourself or value yourself enough. I was grateful to reflect on that, that moment that led me to go on a spiral of questions. And I was happy to say that the mistake I made was not setting up a boundary. And that the reason why was because I was people pleasing. And even though the outcome came out south, it was a lesson worth learning. Because in the future, I want to make sure that I slow down enough in those moments and do and communicate what I want. And moving forward, as it's time to make decisions, communicating that and being willing to have boundaries and say no. With that being said, it's so beautiful and cute to be like, well, if you're happy, I'm happy, and want to make one another happy. But it's actually not cute long-term, and it's not mature. The reason why it's not mature is because people's happiness is not dependent on someone else. And that literally is codependency. And I was looking at it like the fruit of that, if we are not vulnerable or sharing the truth of what we feel, right? Like, hey, that bothered me. Hey, this is my boundary. Hey, I don't want to do that. What happens is resentment can grow and bitterness can grow because you're making a lot of choices where you're sacrificing yourself instead of making a decision that is the truth of what you want. So things look like they're good because you're happy and helping one another. And then at the end, it's not. It ends abruptly, potentially because of the codependency. So what is the prescription to codependency? I think knowing your worth, knowing your value, and giving yourself permission to set boundaries and to do and say what pleases you, even if it displeases others. What I mean by that is, one, I'm going to use an example that is real life that relates to me and my family. I remember when I wanted to start my business, my mom was like, what? Do you have a degree? What are you talking about? And I wanted my mom's approval. I actually think looking back, there might have been a codependency in that regard. Like, I want to please my mom. I want to please my mom. I want to please my mom. I even felt like I owed her it because I went to college and she had sacrificed and worked so hard. And I owed it to her to do what she wanted in my life. But when I was like, I really want to start a business. Like, I want to own something. I want to lead something. I want to build something. My conviction of what I wanted and my belief in myself was so great that I was okay with people disapproving. I mean, there's a lot of steps to making that choice. I was okay with my boss disapproving. I was okay with my coworkers disapproving when I left the job I was at. And I was okay with my own family disapproving because I had that much self-love, self-belief, and yeah, just that strong feeling in my chest and my gut that like, this is what I was going to do. And I remember how hard it was being like, well, they're going to think I'm a bad person. I'm irresponsible, all these things. And for a while, the first year, the goal was to prove them wrong. But I think as time progressed, I just sat in the comfortability of my own skin and confident, and not people pleasing allowed me to flourish in something that was authentic to me and truly be happy in that category. That's so flippin' cool to even reflect on right now. But allowing myself to choose me meant I can actually like pour out without the bitterness. Like I'm giving because I love it, not because I have to, because I get to. And I think that little example is an example that it was not codependency or seeking validation or people pleasing. You're willing to fight for what you feel is right in your chest and your heart and being okay losing the validation. I think that unhealthy people will communicate in their own toxicity. Unhealthy people will not honor boundaries and take it personally. And healthy people will communicate their feelings, and we can validate feelings and seek to understand. But ultimately, they'll be like, okay, that's your choice. So if you're in a codependent relationship, because I definitely have been there, I think the answer is to start loving yourself and to start being okay making decisions that are authentic to you, even if they're not to your partner. Those are my thoughts for a relationship reflection of the day. It's kind of long. Thanks for hearing me process, and I hope it helps you. Toodles.